Hi, I'm Lisa Taylor from eXp Realty in Kingston, Ontario, and today I wanted to talk to you about investment properties, specifically investment properties in Kingston, Ontario, and even more specifically, student investment properties. So I saw a Facebook post a couple days ago on a real estate page, an Ontario real estate agent's page, asking about whether or not they would recommend somebody to purchase a rental property for their child while they're attending university. I'm personally of the belief that it's a great investment if you can do it. I have a few student rental properties in Kingston, Ontario, and I also have 4 kids of my own who are attending post-secondary, and not one of them is going to Queen's University in Kingston. So they're all out of town, and so we are paying rent outside of Kingston when we have student rental properties. Regardless, they are a great investment. And if they're such a great investment, why doesn't everyone do it if they can? Well, I mean, there's some issues with getting funding for a rental property. Number one, the ratio for the loan and the down payment is slightly higher with the down payment than you would traditionally have for a primary home. So first of all, investment properties, you are paying a greater down payment, usually 20 to 30%. Second thing is that sometimes there's a number of lenders who don't like to necessarily lend to people who are buying income properties that are specifically targeted to students. They shy away from that for whatever reason, even though they are a great investment. So there are a couple of things. Also, there's some things that come along with having students rent your properties that not everyone is cut out to deal with. They tend to be a little more careless about the properties that they live in. They tend to be a little bit more messy and not care for or clean the properties that they live in necessarily as much as many other people. However, I personally have had non-student rental properties. I have had Airbnb, and I can talk about that at another time. But for me, the properties that have been the most lucrative and the wisest investment have been the student rental properties, and there's a few reasons for that. One of the reasons is that the turnover rate for student rental properties is generally, if you get a great group of students in, they're there for 3 years. But that's kind of max, because they come in second year. Most are in residence first year. They meet their group of friends, and then they come and sign up and sign your lease, and they're in your house for 3, maybe 4 years at the outside. So rents can increase when that group of students leaves. And so your rents are much more on pace with fair market value than if you had a long-term tenant in a rental property that planned on staying for a long time. Your rents can only increase at the rate set by the government. So that's one reason. Another reason is that basically in Kingston anyways, you can get $600 and up per bedroom in a house. So if you have a 5-bedroom house, that's renting for a significant amount more than you would be able to rent to a family, for example, for the same type and quality of home. So you are able to charge more for a student rental property than you are able to charge for a family rental property in general. Student rental properties have more bedrooms, and even though you are renting the whole house, you are charging by the room. So a couple of things that you need to keep in mind. It's really important, if at all possible, to sign a whole house lease. So have a group of students come in and sign as a whole house, and they can decide how much each person pays for each room. And in general, as I said, you're looking at about 600 plus. Another thing when you're thinking about investing in a student rental property in the Kingston area is that location is key. You can rent just about anything and have no vacancies depending on the location. within the Queen's area, which is kind of commonly referred to as the Queen's Ghetto, you can rent just about anything in just about any condition if it's in super close walking distance to Queen's. That area has expanded a bit. So that's one thing to consider. Another thing to consider is that you might want to have a property that's actually really nice, nicely renovated, because when you have a group of students come in and the place that they move into is really beautiful and very nicely renovated, and some of these old homes in that area are absolutely gorgeous, have tons of character, and if they are renovated and fixed up and cared for, then the students tend to care for them as well. Some of the things that you might want to be aware of can be things like, this is often the very first time that these students have ever lived outside of their parents' home and not in a residence where all of their meals are prepared for them, their accommodations are basically taken care of. They have to keep their room clean. But for many of them, this is the very first time that something might go wrong in the house, or that they might be cooking something and catch something on fire. It happens. They might, for example, take the frying pan off of the stove and put it directly on the laminate countertop. Some of these things are directly from personal experience. Another little thing that might happen is they may try to get in touch with you as the landlord to tell you about problems that they're having with their housemates, such as, and again, personal experience, this roommate of mine is eating all of my ice cream and I don't know what to do. So there are things that you need to consider. This is trivial, obviously, but there's all sorts of little things that you need to consider that make student rentals attractive, which is the money and the profits and the building of the equity, but also a little bit more of a headache. So there are things that you absolutely need to take into account. So if you're considering a student rental property, Kingston, Ontario is a fantastic place to do so. We have Queen's University, St. Lawrence College. You can't really consider RMC because they mostly live on campus during their entire 4 years. But those two campuses draw a lot of students, draw a lot of international students as well. So there's a very broad range of area where you can purchase student rental properties that can make you a great income. And when you're thinking about it, you need to look at the number of bedrooms in particular and the location. If you want any more information, if you need to reach out to somebody in the Kingston area who has experience with student rental properties, give me a call, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and I will see you next time on LT Talks RE.